I got to say, brothers, y'all lit this stage up. I don't know how much really there is left to say. When I first got this charge about violence in our communities, I thought about my own childhood, growing up in Baltimore City. And for those of you that know, Baltimore City has violence. But as I begin to think, I thought to myself, I find too often after these senseless tragedies, we ask ourselves, why too much when we should be asking what? Why do these things happen? Who knows? Only God knows. But what can we do forward? What can we do to go on? That is the question before us today. For the next 5 minutes, I want to share with you 3 principles that I promise, regardless of what situation you're in, despite the predicament that you might be facing, that if you apply these 3 principles, I guarantee you, you will rise above the mess. Believe that God can do extraordinary things in your life. Number 2, refuse to be defined by what others have said was possible. And number 3, never, ever accept defeat as final. Let's start with this first point. Believe that God can do extraordinary things. Look at your neighbor and say, believe God. You know, the number one question that I get all the time when I travel around the world speaking is, Darrell, how is it that you were able to leave from Baltimore City and live out your dreams, go to Morehouse and end up at Harvard? And I tell people that it began with the belief that God could do the thing. Even when I had no money, when I had no one and no support system but my mother, when there was no one there for me, I believed in my darkest hours that God could bring me out of my situation. I know for a fact that weeping might endure for the night, but joy will come in the morning. See, the question, brothers, is not whether or not you're churchgoers. We got enough churchgoers. The question is whether or not you are a believer. See, we need folks that are going to believe that God is going to do what God said that he's going to do. You know, the scripture tells us that without faith, it is impossible to please him. Now, it doesn't say impractical or improbable. It says it is impossible to please him. And if faith is the substance of the thing that we are hoping for, whether it is peace or joy or relationships or material possessions, if we have no faith, then there is nothing linking us to the thing that we're hoping for. So we have to first believe that God can do extraordinary things in our lives before God can do extraordinary things in our lives. The second point, refuse to be defined by what others have told you is possible. This is key. This has been the story of my life. Refuse to be defined by what others have told you is possible. Brothers, I hope y'all hear me on this. If you believe what other people tell you can be and you can't be, what's possible for your life and what's not possible, you will be broke, busted, and disgusted. I can't tell you how many people told me I would live and die and never get out of Baltimore City. I cannot tell you how many people told me that college was an unachievable dream. How many people said that going to Harvard in a recession was impossible. But through it all, I remember the song that we used to sing growing up in Baltimore called Whose Report Will You Believe? And the chorus goes, and raise your hand if you know it, I will believe the report of the Lord. See, this is the thing. This is the thing, right? Brothers, in life, you're going to get a lot of reports. Your friends and your peers are going to have a report. The streets are going to have a report. The folks on CNN and MSNBC, they have a report. The question, however, is whose report are you going to choose to believe? See, I decided a long time ago I was going to have to go with the report of the Lord. See, his report said that I'm free. I like that. His report said I don't have to be a product of my environment. I could be a product of my imagination. His report said that even though my country might be in a recession, my life doesn't have to be too. So refuse to be defined by what others have said was possible. Now, I know I got to sit down. I'm getting the time cue. The third and last point, never, ever accept defeat or tragedy as final. I want to say this again. Never, ever. Can I throw another ever on here? Ever accept defeat or tragedy as final. I'm of the belief that there's been this myth that's been told. And the myth that has been told is that extraordinary people are extraordinary because their lives were free of challenge, which is crazy. That they somehow went through life and never faced adversity, never faced hardship. But what makes extraordinary people extraordinary is precisely their ability to deal in the thing that would have taken most of us out. It is their follow-through and their persistence that makes the difference. That's what makes them extraordinary. The question about, will things fall apart? It's inevitable. Things will fall apart. The question is, what will you do to pick up the pieces when they do? See, in life, you may encounter defeats. Scratch that. In life, you will encounter defeats, but you must not be defeated. You have to learn to be like the righteous man that Proverbs talked about. Get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8. If you feel like you're going through hell, keep going and never, ever accept defeat as final. And lastly, I leave you, especially brothers here, with the words of Dr. King. If you can run, by all means run. But if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving. Keep pushing forward. Thank you all. God bless you. You made us proud.